Hello everyone, my name is Amelia Putrilanel Sinaga with name 200705004. Today I will discuss about language disorder of neurolinguistics. First, what is neurolinguistics? Neurolinguistics is known as the study of relationship between brain and language. In other words, it tries to explore how the brain understands and produces language and communication. Neurolinguistics has a very close relationship to psycholinguistics, but focuses more on the brain. The general study of neurolinguistics is study of language and communication after brain damage. The methods that are widely used today for the study of neurolinguistics are experiments, model construction, and neuroimaging. This involves attempting to combine neurological or neuropsychological theory with linguistic theory. Next is different views on the relation between brain and language. First is localism. Localism tries to find location or centers in the brain for different language function. Next, associationism. That is places language function in the connection between different areas of the brain, make it possible to associate, for example, perceptions of different senses with words and or concepts. Next, dynamic localization of function. It assumes that functional systems of localized subfunctions perform language function. Such systems are dynamic so that they can be reorganized during language development or after a brain damage. Next, holistic. Holistic is theories consider many language functions as handled by large parts of the brain working together. Next, evolution-based. Evolution-based is theory stress the relation between how brain and language evolve over time in different species, how they develop in children, and how adults perform language function. Next, language disorder. The brain is a priceless gift from God to mankind because this is where it lays the human mind that distinguishes humans and animals. Brain injury will affect person that experiences it. Human brain that is injured might not be representative human brain that is normal. Studies that have been made by members of the neurology of the counties involve the planning and understanding of the language, such as Broca's and Wernicke's area. Language disorder is a communication disorder in which a person has persistent difficulties in learning and using various forms of language, such as spoken, written, and reading. Language disorder is also known as aphasia. From the result of previous studies, several types of aphasia were found involving the relationship of language and the brain. The type of aphasia, Broca's aphasia. Broca's aphasia results from damage to a part of the brain called Broca's area, which is located in the frontal lobe, usually on the left side. It's one of the parts of the brain responsible for speech and for motor movement. Symptoms of Broca's aphasia include poor grammar, difficulty forming complete sentences, omitting certain words such as do, and is, more difficulty using verbs than nouns correctly, difficulty articulating. Next is Wernicke's aphasia. Wernicke's aphasia affects the area of the brain known as Wernicke's area, which is located on the left middle side. People with this condition have difficulty with language comprehension and may have a harder time processing spoken words than those with Broca's aphasia do. Symptoms of Wernicke's aphasia include articulating sentences that have the appropriate cadence but lack the right words, jumbling words together and assembling arbitrary sequence, inserting made-up nonsense like words into sentences, big and being unaware that you may be articulating something incomprehensible to others. Next, pure word deafness aphasia. Another aphasia that involves in brain injury is aphasia pure word deafness. This type of aphasia happens when injury occurs in the area leading to the Wernicke's area from auditory field. Symptoms of pure word deafness aphasia include couldn't identify the correct words, sounds, like a patient can recognize the melody of new song that the patient hears, but the patient cannot recognize the lyric. Next is conduction aphasia. Conduction aphasia results in difficulty with repetition. People with this condition it's also known as associative aphasia. Symptoms of conduction aphasia include speak fluently and understand language, but they have a hard time repeating words or sentences that have been spoken to them. For example, to feed, first eating, it is replaced with say feed, and to bubble, it is replaced with the word bubble. No new word meanings, but according to the way sounds combine to form the English words. Next is anomic aphasia. Anomic aphasia involves in trouble of finding words that coincide with some spontaneous speech, although understanding of language and repeated words are good. For example, the difficulty of finding the right name for an object. This phenomenon is experienced by most people at certain times, such as hand me that thing over there. Next is apraxia aphasia. Apraxia aphasia is patients who fail to respond reasonably to verbal instructions. These patients are unable to perform match movement with sensory motor by hand even though they understand the direction. For example, the patient couldn't pick a pen that fell on the floor spontaneously. Next is global aphasia. Because of injury in the left hemisphere or critical injuries in connection areas of language that demonstrate most or all affecting aspect of language in the patient is called global aphasia. Injuries that occur in the brains of patient can result in physical and verbal disorder. Physically, the patient would experience paralyzed right side of the mouth that becomes distorted and the elasticity of tongue will not be sufficient. This patient will experience a slight speech understanding, and it causes the patient to use stereotypical arrangement of sounds or use repeatedly in the same form. A woman who had suffered a stroke cannot speak more than a sentence with 4 syllables that are unfounded. That is ga, dak, la, do. The last is aphasia in reading and writing or dyslexia. This aphasia is the cause of disturbance in reading and writing. There are several types of dyslexia. It happens when an individual is non-proficient in reading and writing. Dyslexia can be observed since childhood in the acquisition of reading and writing proficiency, hemisphere dominance of visual perception defects, and the effects of poor teaching methods cause the child to start reading or writing from behind or mirror. Example, deer into read, wrong letters, B into D or vice versa, P into key or vice versa, U into N or vice versa, and M into W and vice versa. Okay, this is the final of my presentation. If I said a lot of wrong words, please forgive me and thank you.